The story opens with a boy waking up in an unfamiliar room. A woman looks down at him, too young to be his mother. Then he sees his hands. He's a baby. Checking his status screen reveals something even stranger. All his stats are at level 1, and his name is gone. A tall man in armor enters. The woman calls him King, and he approaches to examine the newborn. Shortly after, the baby is brought before a priest for his naming ceremony. He receives the name Noah and is declared the 13th Imperial Prince. His status confirms it. He's now the Emperor's son. The Emperor asks the priest about Noah's affinity. Water, the priest replies, and his assigned domain will be Almeria, home to the Water Clan. The Emperor seems satisfied. Then he asks for Noah's full stats. Everyone freezes in shock. Every stat is maxed out. His water affinity has reached SS rank, and he was only born hours ago. Stats like these mean he's already awakened, something unheard of at birth. Everyone realizes they're witnessing the birth of an extraordinary prodigy. Noah understands in this moment that he's been reincarnated as nobility. The empire is called Meres, a warrior nation in a rugged mountain range. Its capital sits on an open plain, and the empire is experiencing a golden age of wealth and culture. The emperor has over 10 sons, all imperial princes beloved by the people and regarded as the most prestigious nobles in the land. 6 years pass. Noah discovers something crucial about his abilities. Others see his stats as incredibly high values, but the truth is different. Those numbers come from his subordinates. His S-rank water skill comes entirely from Almeria, his assigned domain. His other bonuses come from his maids. Noah grows stronger with more subordinates. He also suspects his level cap is infinite. After the maids dress him, they talk amongst themselves. Most boys his age cause trouble constantly, but Noah is different, calm, composed, unusually mature. Evelyn, his hospitality maid, approaches during lunch. The Crown Prince and Fourth Prince have come to visit. They said he could finish eating first, but Noah knows better than to keep the Crown Prince waiting. He asks to be taken to them immediately. Noah greets his brothers, Albert, the Crown Prince, and Henry, the Fourth Prince. After pleasantries, Albert announces they've brought a gift. A frightened servant enters carrying a sword case. Dark energy leaks from it, filling the air with tension. Albert orders it opened. The moment it opens, Noah feels a chill. He hears soldiers crying out, begging Albert to save them. The voices are desperate, terrified. This is no hallucination. Albert tells Noah to pick up the sword. Noah doesn't want to, but refusing the Crown Prince isn't an option. He lifts the sword carefully. It's heavy at first, but he finds his balance. Albert explains the sword is Leviathan, a water element blade and the strongest in the Empire. Around 120 people have died trying to master it. Henry notices Noah's nervousness and reassures him. Anyone unworthy dies from its curse the moment they try to lift it. Noah picking it up proves he's at least somewhat worthy. Albert pats Noah's back and leaves, calling this a valuable demonstration. Noah can't believe this bastard was testing him with something that could have killed him. But voicing that thought would mean instant death, so he stays silent. As they walk away, Henry questions whether leaving such an expensive sword with Noah was wise. Albert replies the sword suits someone as brilliant as Noah, and precisely because Noah is so brilliant, he needs to experience being bitten by his own pet. That night, Noah notices Zoe, his maid, seems troubled. He asks what's wrong. She doesn't want to burden him, but Noah insists. Finally, she reveals her hometown was flooded. The farm where she grew up, her mother's only income, was destroyed. Zoe admits she's been considering the red light district. People told her she'd command a high price as someone who served an imperial prince. Noah immediately shuts that down. He offers to employ her mother at the mansion managing the gates with generous pay. Zoe protests the salary is too high, but Noah adds there's an unused house nearby where she and her mother can live together. Zoe breaks down crying, thanking him repeatedly. But Noah knows this isn't pure kindness. A former servant in the red light district would stain his reputation. Zoe is his servant for life. After this act, he's certain she'll never betray him. He calls Dylan, his butler, and explains Zoe's hometown was flooded. He instructs Dylan to buy as much land in Daso as possible. Bandits will exploit the town's weakness, and he wants the land secured before things worsen. Dylan is surprised. Despite his youth, Noah handles unfamiliar situations with sharp foresight. In reality, this happened to Noah in his previous life, but he can't tell anyone that. Dylan agrees it's brilliant, but how do they get the money? Buying that much land costs several 100,000 ren, the Empire's currency. Noah realizes he didn't think that through it. After considering, he decides they'll sell the land south of the capital. Dylan questions this. It was a royal gift. Selling without permission could be a serious crime. Noah tells him not to worry about the king's anger. He'll personally bear the consequences. This is what being noble means. Sacrificing so others can live safer, easier lives. Dylan understands and thanks him deeply, especially since he shares Zoe's hometown. The next day, Noah liquidates funds and prepares to inspect the land personally. Then Henry visits unexpectedly. Henry notices Noah is taking Leviathan and asks why. Noah explains he felt power from the sword earlier, but hasn't since. He plans to test it in Daso. Henry reveals Leviathan has its own will and only obeys who it recognizes as master. Noah understands. He needs to earn its recognition. Leviathan is a mad dog that needs taming. Henry warns Noah can take the sword but shouldn't use it unless the timing is right, or it'll kill him. Then he leaves. They arrive in Daso. The flood turned it into a wasteland. From the destruction, they deduce most homes lost their land deeds, so they'll need official records to buy property. Dylan and Zoe are amazed a child figured this out at a glance. Noah says it's simple logic. While surveying, Noah and Zoe see food being distributed. Noah takes a bowl. It tastes terrible and slightly spoiled. A villager says they can't complain since they're lucky to get anything. Noah is shocked the Empire serves such food during disaster. Lord Garl, the local official, arrives for inspection. He knows the food is terrible but doesn't care. He's not eating it. Noah confronts him directly, accusing him of embezzling food rations. Garl doesn't deny it. Those at the top deserve to eat first, he declares. His men laugh. Noah is furious. Garl draws his sword to silence the child. Before he attacks, Leviathan flies from its case and hovers beside Noah. The sword tests him, pouring power into his body. Parts of Noah darken as the curse threatens to consume him, but through sheer willpower, he endures. After a brief struggle, Leviathan submits. Garl lunges to kill Noah. Noah strikes first, cleanly severing Garl's head. Garl's men prepare to attack, but Noah slams Leviathan into the ground, creating a massive crater with no visible bottom. Even Noah is stunned by the sword's power. Rowan, the knight captain assigned to Daso, arrives and immediately kneels, recognizing Noah as the 13th Imperial Prince. The others follow when Rowan announces his identity. Noah explains Garl's crimes and orders Rowan to punish the remaining corrupt officials and restart proper food distribution. The villagers celebrate, praising Noah as their savior. Later, Albert receives word Noah tamed Leviathan. He smirks. Noah may be more useful than anticipated. When Noah meets his father expecting punishment for selling royal land, the emperor thanks him instead. His actions prevented bandits from exploiting the disaster. He's also pleased Noah mastered Leviathan. Noah's stats are checked again. His water skill rose to triple S rank from all the subordinates gained helping Daso. Deeply impressed, the emperor asks Noah to continue using his talents for the empire. Noah agrees. The next day, Noah stops by a small diner in town after hearing rumors about a young singer who performs there. He takes a seat and quietly looks around, observing the atmosphere. Before long, a pink-haired girl steps up and begins singing for the customers. Noah recognizes her from the rumors and remembers that her name is Alice. As he listens, Noah can tell that while her voice is naturally pleasant, her technique still needs work. Even so, it's obvious she's taking this seriously. Every note carries effort and intent. She isn't just singing for fun, she's trying to survive and improve using the one talent she has: music. Suddenly, the calm mood inside the diner is shattered when several rough-looking men storm in, shouting and drawing everyone's attention. They confront Alice, accusing her of wasting time singing instead of dealing with a debt tied to her family. Startled, Aleech freezes as they surround her. She nervously explains that she doesn't have the money yet, but insists she's doing everything she can. The tension in the room grows, and the other customers can only watch in uncomfortable silence. Before things get worse, Noah stands up and steps in. Calmly, he warns the men to back off and tells them their behavior is unacceptable. The men scoff at him, brushing him off as just another clueless kid. One of them grabs Noah, trying to intimidate him. In response, Noah releases a small amount of power from the Leviathan's sword. The sudden pressure shocks everyone present. Realizing they're completely outmatched, the men panic and flee the diner. Once things settle down, Noah turns to Aleech and speaks gently. He asks about her situation, and she explains that most of her earnings go towards supporting her family, including medical expenses. Noah tells her he'll support her so she can focus on singing and improving, encouraging her to keep pursuing her passion without fear. Aleech thanks him sincerely and promises she won't waste the chance he's given her. Later that evening, Noah returns to the palace and notices the same men kneeling outside the gates, bowing repeatedly. From their behavior, Noah quickly realizes they've learned who he really is. Instead of meeting them, he calmly tells the attendants to send them away. Soon after, Noah's older brother Henry arrives and agrees with his decision. He explains that giving people like that easy access to royalty would only weaken the authority of the royal family. Noah adds that there was another reason behind his choice. By refusing to meet them, the men would stay fearful and avoid Aleech altogether. Henry is impressed by Noah's thinking, noting that few people his age would plan that far ahead. Music. Henry then asks about the Leviathan sword and whether Noah has truly mastered it. Noah confirms that he has, and credits Henry's earlier advice. To prove it, Noah makes the sword appear as if from nowhere. Henry is stunned, having never seen the Leviathan behave that way before. Noah explains that the sword was hidden and expanded on command, revealing that it has a will of its own and helped him learn the technique. Henry praises Noah for figuring this out. Later, outside the palace, one of the men from earlier tries to approach Noah again. Noah releases a faint pressure from the Leviathan, causing the man to freeze in fear and retreat immediately. Noah explains that he simply intimidated them without actually using force. That evening, Noah attends a royal gathering. As he enters, the nobles applaud. A noble named Radok notices the weapon at Noah's side, and Noah confirms that it's the Leviathan, gifted to him by the crown prince. The room reacts in shock, recognizing it as a national treasure rumored to be nearly impossible to control. Some guests doubt its authenticity, so Noah briefly releases its power. The overwhelming pressure fills the room, leaving no room for doubt. As the event continues, nobles line up to introduce themselves. Among them are merchant Brian Allen and his adopted daughter Cindy. Observing Cindy closely, Noah realizes she was once a slave. Brian is surprised but admits it's true, explaining that he adopted her after recognizing her intelligence. Noah is genuinely happy to hear this and invites them to visit his residence sometime in the future. Brian gratefully agrees, and the two of them take their leave. The next day, Noah runs into his brother Oscar, the 8th prince. Oscar invites Noah to browse antiques together on Cobalt Street, a place known for both rare finds and convincing fakes. After searching for hours with no luck, Noah spots a book that catches his interest and decides to buy it. Oscar takes one look and freezes, realizing the book is the grimoire of the sorcerer Andrea. When Oscar asks how Noah knew it was special, Noah admits he didn't. He only noticed something strange when he touched it. Curious, Noah channels Leviathan's power into the grimoire. The book reacts, releasing the sealed soul inside. Oscar shouts for Noah to retreat, but Noah calmly swings Leviathan and destroys the manifestation in a single strike. Afterward, Noah notices that his wind ability has improved. Oscar is left completely stunned by how strong Noah has become. A nearby merchant named Alan approaches and offers to show them a mysterious ring, said to react only to its rightful owner. When Noah puts it on, the ring acknowledges him and transforms into armor. Oscar insists on covering the cost and offers it as a gift. Later, a man attempts to ambush Noah, but the ring instantly deploys a barrier, blocking the attack. Watching this, Oscar realizes Noah has already begun mastering the artifact. That night, Noah returns to the diner to hear a leech sing again. When troublemakers interrupt her performance, Noah steps in and drives them away. He then speaks with the owner and decides to buy the establishment, making sure it remains a safe place. A leech thanks Noah once more, unsure how she could ever repay him. Noah simply asks her to keep singing and devote herself to her music. With a warm smile, she agrees. Noah returns to his seat and quietly listens as Alici's voice fills the diner. Early next morning, Noah is preparing for the day with the help of his palace maids. Once they finish, Atmo Eve arrives to inform him that he has a visitor. The man waiting is Dead Marley, the Governor General of Wholejoy, a territory that falls under Noah's fief. Hearing this, Noah asks Evelyn to escort him inside, saying he will meet him shortly. It is explained that members of the imperial family are traditionally granted fiefs so they can gain first-hand experience in governance and state administration. Because of this system, the people living in those lands effectively treat the prince as their ruler. Dead Marley, who was born in Almeria and now governs Wholejoy, greets Noah respectfully. This is their second meeting, as Dead first introduced himself roughly a year and a half ago when the Emperor appointed him as Governor General. Dead was assigned to manage flood control in Wholejoy, a fertile grain-producing region located along a massive river bend that frequently floods. Unfortunately, the situation has continued to worsen. Although the Emperor hoped Dead could stabilize the region, no funding was ever provided. Without money, meaningful countermeasures were impossible. Meanwhile, the Ministry of the Interior continues to delay the process with endless inspections and verifications. After hearing this, Noah decides to intervene directly. He tells Dead to accompany him to meet Maverick, the Minister of Finance, to confirm the status of the funds. When they arrive, Maverick initially dismisses Noah, seeing him as nothing more than a child who would not understand financial policy. He explains that Wholejoy suffered flooding again the previous year, which deeply saddened the Emperor and resulted in the region being exempted from taxes for an entire year. Maverick argues that because of this exemption, tax revenue from other regions created a surplus, and the ministry believes that surplus should be redirected elsewhere. Noah immediately recognizes the flaw in this reasoning. The tax exemption was a compassionate decision because the people of Wholejoy had no money after the floods, but it did nothing to solve the underlying problem. Yet Maverick speaks as if the Empire somehow benefited financially. Realizing that Noah fully understands the situation, Maverick finally reveals the truth. The funds are being withheld to finance the construction of a summer residence for the Emperor. He insists that the Emperor is growing older and needs a place to escape the capital's heat. Since it is for the Emperor, the residence must be a grand palace, requiring enormous expense. Noah immediately rebukes him, stating that he is committing a serious offense against the imperial family. He asserts that the flooded region urgently requires countermeasures and that his father would never prioritize luxury while his people suffer. Noah demands that the funds be distributed properly, warning that he will personally report the matter to the Emperor if they are not. Confronted with Noah's resolve, Maverick panics. He apologizes and agrees to release the funds to Wholejoy immediately. Dead is deeply impressed, thanking Noah for resolving the issue without force by exposing the minister's contradictions and using his own words against him. He departs at once to return to Wholejoy and oversee the flood response. After returning to the castle, Noah is informed that the Emperor has summoned him. When Noah meets his father, the Emperor congratulates him on how he handled the Minister of Finance. Noah is startled that the Emperor already knows about the incident, but his father calmly explains that information itself is a weapon, and one must always keep it sharpened. The Emperor praises Noah for acting with honesty and conviction, remarking that such judgment is remarkable for a child not yet 6 years old. Noah responds humbly, saying he only did what was necessary. The Emperor then turns the conversation to the sword Leviathan, noting that Noah's ability to control such a dangerous magic sword is exceptional. He adds that had Noah failed to restrain it, everyone in the marketplace could have been slaughtered. To further refine Noah's abilities, the Emperor has summoned Damian Noble, the greatest swordsman in the Empire. Noble immediately requests a sparring match to assess Noah's skill. Although the Emperor hesitates due to Noah's age, Noble reassures him that he will not harm the boy. As the two face each other, Noah draws Leviathan and attacks. Noble is momentarily overwhelmed by memories of the sword's former wielders and its violent legacy. Noah attacks again, and to everyone's shock, he disarms Noble, knocking his sword to the ground. The feat demonstrates refined technique rather than brute force, worthy of a blade that chooses its own master. Noble kneels before the Emperor and admits defeat. He states that although Noah's physical strength and speed are still those of a child, his swordsmanship is already at a professional level. Claiming to train him would be arrogance. He declares that he has nothing left to teach the prince. Amused, the Emperor laughs and appoints Noah as the supreme judge for this year's knight selection exam. Noah accepts the responsibility, knowing that the exam is an annual event where warriors from across the empire gather. In this nation, military merit is the clearest path to honor. Those who succeed earn the title of knight and immediately enter the elite class, with their first assignment being service under the supreme judge. Noah realizes that acquiring talented knights as subordinates will directly strengthen him. When asked how he plans to structure the exam, Damian Noble explains that the judge must decide between a league system or direct elimination. Noah proposes abolishing regional qualifiers entirely and conducting all evaluations in the capital under his direct supervision. He refuses to allow talent to be lost due to geography or circumstance. The Emperor approves his proposal without hesitation. Later, Noah speaks with Zoe and asks whether anyone from her village intends to participate in the knight selection exam. She explains that the village can only afford to send one person each year due to the high costs of travel and lodging in the capital. That single candidate carries the hopes of the entire community. Noah informs her that he has canceled the regional qualifiers and will personally cover all travel and accommodation expenses. He then instructs Dylan to purchase every vacant house in the capital. If there are not enough, they will construct dormitories to accommodate the participants. As for meals, Noah plans to negotiate directly with merchants and oversee the arrangements himself. Later, Noah meets with Byron, who is stunned by the scale of the projected food costs. Noah explains that he intends to introduce a woman into the palace through an internal recruitment exam. Having an ally inside the palace would allow him to receive information more quickly, and if she were chosen as a consort, her influence would be immeasurable. However, she must be someone Noah personally approves of. Byron pledges his loyalty and expresses his desire to associate his business with the crest of the 13th Imperial Prince. Noah accepts his service but warns that betrayal will not be forgiven. As Byron becomes his subordinate, Noah's stats increase once again, until he suddenly notices that his water rank has dropped from SS to S. Realizing something has happened in Almeria, Noah immediately goes to see the Emperor. A rebellion has broken out, numbering 5,000 rebels. Noah evaluates the situation and concludes that it is still limited in scale. When asked whether he intends to suppress it himself, Noah declines, citing his lack of battlefield experience and uncertainty over whether the soldiers would follow him. Instead, he nominates Prince Henry. Later, Henry confronts Noah, stating that he missed a valuable opportunity to earn military merit. Suddenly, Leviathan reacts. The rebels from Almeria are targeting Noah directly. Noah steps out of the carriage alone, defeats the attackers without killing them, and confirms that the rebellion relies heavily on cavalry. The following morning, Noah secretly orders Byron to purchase every available horse in the regions surrounding Almeria, cutting off the rebels' supply at its source. This will make things easier for my brother, Noah thinks. The following day, Noah is summoned before the king. His Majesty informs him that the assassins captured the previous night have confessed. According to their statements, the rebels plan to kidnap Noah and use him as leverage. Noah does not question the credibility of the confession, as it was obtained with unusual ease. Sensing his son's thoughts, the king acknowledges Noah's keen judgment but reassures him that there are reliable methods to verify the truth. Even so, as a father, he admits his relief that Noah was not taken, since such an outcome would have placed the empire in an extremely dangerous position. The king then brings up the foraging strategy Noah devised. Expressing genuine admiration, Noah is surprised that the king is already aware of it, given how recently the order was issued. The king explains that most commanders would have chosen to completely cut off the rebels' food supply and wait for them to starve. In fact, Prince Albert suggested exactly that. However, Albert failed to consider that starving rebels would inevitably raid nearby villages. Noah, instead, chose to cut off only the food supply for the horses. Recognizing the foresight behind this decision, the king praises Noah and calls his judgment admirable. Noah does not respond to the praise, which leads the king to consider granting him a reward. After a brief pause, the king announces that he will authorize Noah to add a sword to his coat of arms. The declaration leaves Noah momentarily speechless. In the Empire, a nation founded on martial tradition, displaying a sword on one's shield without imperial permission is a grave offense that can even carry the death penalty. When the emperor himself grants this right, it represents the highest honor possible. The king orders crews to issue an official decree at once. Later, Noah meets with Byron, who reports that proper forage for transport animals is currently scarce. However, because he is familiar with the delivery routes, securing it has not proven especially difficult. Byron also shares information about Karum, the leader of the rebels, describing him as a deeply resentful man capable of extreme actions to achieve his goals. He advises Noah to remain cautious, even if the warning seems unnecessary. At that moment, a maid interrupts them and reports that a severely injured man has arrived at the entrance with an urgent message. Noah goes to meet him immediately. The man introduces himself as a squadron captain from the district of Adora in Armia. He reports that a revolt has broken out in Arlia and explains that, unable to support his superior, he deserted his post in order to personally deliver this information. Noah does not thank the man for the warning, even though it is clear he was already aware of this situation. Nevertheless, he orders that the man's wounds be treated and grants him a reward of 1,000 rhinos. This decision confuses Byron, and later, when they are alone, he asks Noah why he rewarded information that was no longer useful. Noah admits that Byron's reasoning is sound, but explains that the man risked his life to deliver the message, and that act alone deserved recognition. Byron eventually accepts this explanation. Later, while Noah is reading in his office, Zoe suddenly enters and collapses to the floor. Noah rushes to her side and asks what happened. Zoe presents a pouch containing 500 rhinos and explains that a stranger gave it to her, promising the reward if she could get Noah to drink a vial of sleeping potion. Noah immediately deduces that the plan was to drug him so he could be captured. Knowing the rebels were behind it, he asks Zoe why she brought everything to him. Through tears, Zoe explains that she could not bring herself to betray him. She thanks Noah for helping her mother and her village, but admits that the stranger threatened her life if she refused. Unable to choose betrayal, she decided to bring both the money and the potion directly to Noah. Noah writes a brief note and then tells Zoe that he intends to reward her loyalty. He explains that if those criminals attempted to purchase her betrayal for 500 rhinos, then he, as her lord, will reward her with 10 times that amount. Zoe tries to refuse, but Noah insists she accept it. She thanks him through tears, but Noah then asks her to do something in return. He tells her that he will drink the potion and asks her to hand it to him once he loses consciousness. Zoe initially refuses, but after hesitation, she agrees. Noah then orders her to hide, warning that the criminals may attempt to silence her. Confused, Zoe asks what he plans to do. The scene shifts, and Noah awakens in an unfamiliar location. He overhears several thugs discussing whether they should stab him with a strange short sword. However, because Karum instructed them to use it only as a last resort, they decide against it. Noah calmly assesses the situation and realizes that his hands and feet are bound. Using a small blade he concealed and the ring they failed to remove, he cuts through the ropes. Realizing he is in the back of a carriage, Noah first asks Leviathan to show him its memories. He sees that after he fell asleep, the thugs tied him up and placed him in the carriage. Zoe managed to escape in time, and they chose not to pursue her to avoid drawing the guards' attention. Understanding the situation, Noah rises and confronts the thugs, who are resting nearby. One of them complains about how poorly he was restrained. The men approach Noah confidently, mocking him and reminding him that his brother saved him the last time. But now, he is completely alone. With a single strike, Noah silences the loudest among them, instantly filling the others with fear. He tells them that they are nothing more than expendable pawns, explaining that he allowed himself to be captured in order to gather information, but now realizes they have nothing of value. Enraged, the thugs draw their weapons and attack. Noah does not hold back, defeating them one by one until none remain standing. Shortly after, guards arrive at the scene along with Zoe. Noah asks her why she came, reminding her that he told her to hide. Zoe explains that she was worried and came as a precaution, only to find that Noah had already resolved everything on his own. Noah orders the knight in charge to take custody of the bodies, identifying the men as accomplices of the previous attackers. As a soldier lifts one of the corpses, a short sword falls to the ground. When the soldier moves to pick it up, Noah immediately orders everyone to stand back. Through Leviathan, he perceives the dense miasma of a curse emanating from the blade and recognizes it as a weapon forged with lingering resentment. All eyes remain fixed on Noah as he addresses Leviathan and asks whether it can handle the situation. The sword responds, glowing as it absorbs the dark miasma and releases it toward a distant location. It pierces the sky, crosses vast distances, and strikes the man who forged the blade. In this way, Karum, the leader of the rebellion, is eliminated instantly. The following day, Noah meets with the king once again. The king congratulates him and asks whether Leviathan was used to carry out the strike. Noah confirms this, explaining that he used the lingering grudge within the short sword as a signal and targeted its owner from long range. With Karam dead, the rebellion in Arlia is swiftly suppressed by Henry, bringing the conflict to an end. Soon after, Noah attends a full audience with the king and the nobles of the realm to discuss the punishment of those involved in the rebellion. In his anger, the king declares that they should all be subjected to extreme punishment. The nobles voice their approval, but Noah immediately objects, plunging the chamber into silence. When the king demands an explanation, Noah calmly states that punishment must follow imperial law. The law mandates execution for the leader, punishment for relatives and accomplices, and sentencing for the rest according to their degree of involvement. He also points out that certain expressions, while common, are not codified in imperial law. The king argues that the rebels have stained his honor, but Noah responds that if the emperor himself violates the law, public order will collapse. After hearing Noah's reasoning, the king acknowledges his mistake and thanks him for speaking up. He then declares that leniency is unacceptable and orders the maximum punishment allowed by law with no reductions. When asked if he agrees, Noah states that he has no objections. The nobles remain stunned by Noah's courage in correcting the emperor so directly, especially given his young age. Many begin to regard him as an extraordinary prodigy. The king rises and thanks Noah for protecting the dignity of the throne, announcing that he will grant him a title so that everyone may recognize his wisdom. Noah is bestowed with the title of Wise Man. The court erupts in approval, and Noah thanks his father, saying it is a great honor to receive it. The king remarks that he wishes Noah had been born a few years earlier, a comment that only deepens the court's admiration. He then asks whether Noah has decided on the method he will use for the knight selection exam. Noah replies that he already has a plan and will reveal it at the appropriate time. Later, Noah is seen having tea with 4 assistants holding buckets of water while the king observes. At Noah's signal, the assistants pour the water over him, but his ring activates, forming a barrier that prevents a single drop from touching him. Noah explains that his selection method will involve allowing candidates to attack him directly and judging them by how much they impress him. The king comments that he expected nothing less, noting that this approach will allow Noah to endure the entire exam without exhaustion, even though there is a risk that someone may breach his defense. Noah states that he is prepared to face even an exceptionally powerful opponent. The king smiles, clearly proud of his son's resolve. Later, while speaking privately with the prime minister, the king reflects on his earlier remark about Noah's age. He states that there is nothing wrong with his son advising him directly and defeating enemies without ever stepping onto the battlefield. Though unprecedented, it confirms his belief that Noah's sword possesses terrifying power. Calling crews to his side, the king asks him to bring Leviathan. He explains that, according to legend, the true seal of Leviathan should never be broken, but he wonders whether even he might be unable to do so. The day of the knight selection exam finally arrives. People from even the most remote regions of the empire gather to witness the rise of a new generation of knights. This year, however, the crowd is far larger than usual. Once word spread that one of the judges would be Noah, the wise prince himself, curiosity turned into excitement, and people traveled great distances just to see him with their own eyes. As planned, Noah uses his defensive ring to evaluate the candidates. Calmly seated on the stage, he sips tea when one participant suddenly rushes forward and launches an attack. Instantly, the ring activates, forming a solid barrier that blocks the strike. The candidate continues attacking, swinging his sword again and again, but the shield does not even tremble. Watching this, the crowd begins to grasp the true power of the wise prince. From above, the emperor observes the exam and remarks that this year's selection is far more engaging than any before. Still, he reminds himself that entertainment is not the goal. The purpose of the exam is to identify worthy knights. With that in mind, he watches closely to see who Noah will choose. As the sun begins to set, one candidate exhausts all of his remaining mana in a final attempt to strike Noah with a powerful flame spell. Noah calmly raises another barrier, blocking the heat entirely. Completely drained, the candidate collapses. Noah acknowledges that, so far, no one has truly stood out. With the final candidate stepping forward, he does not expect much. A blonde swordswoman approaches and strikes. As expected, the shield blocks her attack, but to Noah's surprise, she manages to break through slightly, leaving a shallow wound. The guards immediately restrain her, but Noah orders them to release her at once. He asks her name, and she introduces herself as Shirley Grant. Noah announces that Shirley has passed the exam, shocking everyone present. Not a single candidate had succeeded all day, yet the one who injured him is approved. The guards are stunned, while murmurs ripple through the crowd. Noah brings Shirley back to his mansion. Kneeling before him, she anxiously wonders what punishment she might face for wounding a prince during the exam. Noah reassures her at once, explaining that it was clearly an accident. He then surprises her by asking her to repeat the same thrust again. Though startled, Shirley obeys. She rises and attacks once more. This time, Noah fully reinforces his shield, and it does not break. He explains that he could have blocked her completely the first time, but chose not to. He wanted to see whether she would obey orders without hesitation or fear. A knight must follow commands faithfully, even when the opponent is of higher status. The fact that she attacked him earnestly both times proves her resolve and courage. Shirley is struck by Noah's conviction. Despite his young age, his calm authority and clarity leave a deep impression. Moved by respect, she kneels and pledges her loyalty, vowing to serve him faithfully as his knight. Noah accepts her oath and later notices that gaining Shirley as a subordinate has significantly strengthened his abilities. Soon after, Zoe informs Noah that a doctor named Croy has arrived. Croy examines Noah and confirms that the wound is minor and caused no serious damage. Shirley watches with fascination, surprised by the doctor's skill. She explains that her village has no doctors at all, relying instead on elders and rituals when people fall ill. Noah reflects on this and realizes that apprenticeships are the fastest way to train new doctors. He instructs Shirley to select the most capable people from her village and asks Croy to take them on as apprentices. Croy agrees immediately, and Noah promises to cover all training costs. Deeply moved, Shirley bows in gratitude. That night, Shirley stays at the mansion. The next morning, she prepares herself with renewed determination. As she walks through the halls, she overhears maids whispering about who Noah might marry someday. Zoe quickly shuts the conversation down, reminding them of Noah's age. Another maid argues that royal marriages often happen young. When one maid assumes Zoe must be studying magic for Noah's sake, Zoe firmly denies it, explaining that she wants to be useful to him because of everything he has done for her. She walks away, leaving Shirley silently impressed. Meanwhile, the night selection exam concludes. Noah receives a report praising his judgment, noting that only the most capable candidates were chosen. Quietly satisfied, Noah feels confident that the Empire's future is in good hands. To mark the occasion, Noah hosts a small gathering the following day and invites his old friend Alichi to perform. During the event, Byron arrives to pay his respects. Noah explains that the gathering was also meant to help Byron, as many merchants connected to the royal family are present. Byron immediately understands and appreciates the opportunity. As the celebration continues, Zoe approaches Noah with an unusual letter. There is no sender, and the messenger fled immediately after delivering it. Cautious, Zoe warns him. Noah lightly touches Leviathan to sense danger, but the sword shows no reaction. Inside the letter is a warning about suspicious movements among the remaining Amrian rebels. Noah quickly realizes the sender must be someone investigating from within. He suspects it is the injured soldier who once warned him of the rebellion. Zoe agrees, but Noah grows concerned. Without proper training, the man is risking his life. Noah plans to inform Henry, but by the next day, it is too late. The soldier has been exposed and tortured, surviving only because Henry's unit rescued him in time. Noah blames himself for not acting sooner. The soldier endured torture to protect what he knew, and Noah believes no information is worth that sacrifice. He orders Zoe to relay a message to Henry's unit, instructing them to spare no expense in saving the man's life. Later, Noah heads out with Shirley to buy a gift for Henry as thanks for suppressing the rebellion. At an antique shop, his attention is drawn to a cloaked item. When revealed, it is a rare glass sculpture of a goddess, crafted by the famed artisan Lindsay, one of only two in existence. Noah agrees to purchase it for 10,000 ryanim. At that moment, his brother Oscar arrives and reveals he owns the other sculpture and had been searching for this one. Without hesitation, Noah destroys the piece. Shock fills the room, but Noah assures the merchant he will still be paid. Oscar immediately understands. By destroying one, the value of the remaining sculpture increases. He praises Noah's insight. Afterward, Shirley asks why Noah destroyed such a treasure. Noah explains that objects are not true treasures. People, those who show loyalty, dedication, and resolve, are what truly matter. Shirley smiles, realizing Noah is the kind of leader she had only read about in history. She silently renews her vow to serve him. 6 years pass. Noah, now 12 years old, stands taller as he prepares to leave once more. Surrounded by maids and royal attendants, he sets out toward his next chapter. Noah is seated in his mansion enjoying a quiet meal when Zoe refills his glass. He notices one of the maids near the window looking distracted and asks if something is wrong. She explains that the line of birthday gifts for the prince still hasn't ended, even after 3 full days. Noah calmly replies that this is perfectly normal. Last year, the procession lasted an entire week. She is stunned, but Noah adds that the work doesn't end once the gifts are received. Every item must be recorded along with the sender's name. Still, he reassures her that Evelyn is managing the process efficiently. Zoe gently scolds Shi for losing focus during work hours. The narration reminds us that Noah, now 12 years old, has officially been recognized for mastering the legendary sword Leviathan. By imperial decree, he has been assigned to supervise the Military Human Resources Administration. The minister in charge happens to be his older brother, the fourth prince, Henry Ararat. Soon after, Noah meets Henry, who asks for his opinion on an urgent matter. The emperor has ordered General Rice to lead troops to suppress a rebellion along the southern border. The region is plagued by barbarians, and showing weakness could encourage further unrest. Henry plans to send the regular army to demonstrate imperial strength. Noah listens carefully and reflects on Rice's reputation. He is one of Henry's most capable and courageous commanders. Then Noah asks a question that shifts the atmosphere. What is the actual number of soldiers in Rice's army? Rice hesitates. Henry immediately senses something is wrong and demands the truth. Rice falls to his knees and asks forgiveness. Noah remains calm. He explains that this may not be a grave issue. Official military budgets are based on registered soldier counts. Henry confirms this. It is then revealed that some non-soldiers, merchants, or assistants are sometimes registered as troops, allowing a portion of the allocated budget to be redirected. Rice apologizes again, but Noah assures him he has no intention of punishing him for it. Inflated numbers can serve as a deterrent. Henry agrees that perceived strength alone can discourage enemies. However, Noah points out that this situation is different. The emperor has ordered a complete massacre. That requires accurate numbers. He asks Rice to answer honestly. Rice admits that about 2,000 soldiers exist only on paper. Noah instructs him to correct the numbers immediately. He then borrows paper and pen from Henry and begins writing. The narration briefly shifts, explaining that children of the imperial family often die young. Publicly, it is called illness. Privately, it is a struggle for power. Until a prince comes of age, he cannot go to war without direct imperial permission. Henry remarks that Noah is already 12 and would gain respect by seeing battle before fully taking control of his fief. Noah replies that he is ready whenever the emperor commands. Henry adds that with Leviathan at his side, it would not be difficult. Noah then asks Henry about his own first battle. Before Henry can answer, their carriage suddenly stops. A small girl runs into the street, followed by several other children. 3 bandits grab them. Noah immediately orders the criminals to release the children. They warn him not to interfere. Noah demands their registration records and asks the name of their business, reminding them that trading unregistered people is a serious crime under imperial law. Instead of answering, the bandits attack. Leviathan appears in Noah's hand, and within moments the bandits are defeated. His movements are so precise that witnesses are left speechless. Noah turns to the trembling children and asks if they are hurt. One girl begins to cry, remembering that the men spoke of how much profit they would make from selling them. Then, from the shadows, a man steps forward and greets the wise imperial prince. He claims to be involved in similar trade but refuses to identify himself, saying he works under the first imperial prince, Gilbert. Noah remains composed and tells him to be careful with such claims, especially with Henry present. The man insists he means no trouble and asks Noah to overlook the situation. Noah asks Henry if he recognizes him. Henry says no. Without hesitation, Noah uses Leviathan to strike the man down, declaring him a fraud who falsely invoked Gilbert's name. The crowd believes Noah's judgment. He orders the bandits arrested and delivered to Gilbert's residence for falsely using his name. The children are sent to Noah's mansion for protection. Later, Henry praises Noah's handling of the incident. Privately, Noah understands that confronting someone directly tied to Gilbert without evidence would cause political chaos. By exposing the man as an imposter and sending the criminals to Gilbert's estate, he shifts responsibility without public scandal. That night, Henry reports that Gilbert thanked Noah for capturing the criminal. Upon interrogation, the man admitted to falsely using Gilbert's name and later took his own life. Noah realizes the man became a scapegoat. Henry confirms that Gilbert has long been involved in questionable dealings, including underground slave trade and aggressive land purchases. As the son of a concubine, Gilbert cannot inherit the throne. Perhaps that frustration drives his obsession with wealth and influence. Henry is astonished that Noah understands these political undercurrents so clearly at 12. Later, Noah speaks with the rescued children. He tells them they are no longer in danger and are free. When he asks if they have homes to return to, they shake their heads. One was sold to pay for rice seeds, another to cover funeral costs. Another was abandoned because her family could not afford to feed her. Noah understands that without intervention, they would simply be sold again. He orders Dylan to take them in, provide housing, assign them suitable work, and offer education to those who wish to study. One child nervously asks if he intends to buy them. Noah gently replies that they are not property. They are free and may leave whenever they choose. The only thing he cannot tolerate is betrayal. Dylan adds that serving with sincerity is all that is required. The children thank him, and Noah reflects again that people, not objects, are the Empire's greatest treasures. The next day, Noah summons Evelyn. He thanks her for handling the gift registrations flawlessly. Then he presents her with a sealed letter, an official appointment. He asks her to serve as a governing authority of a territory in Umare. As a local ruler, she will act as his representative. Noah explains that he has watched her for years and believes her abilities deserve a larger stage. Evelyn hesitates, saying she prefers to remain by his side. Noah tells her that true service means growth. If she succeeds, it proves his ability to recognize talent. Moved, Evelyn accepts and departs. Shirley remarks that Noah's treatment of people is very different from Gilbert's. Noah quietly tells her to be cautious with such comparisons. Later, Noah meets the Emperor. The Emperor says he heard everything and acknowledges that Noah preserved Gilbert's honor. Noah replies that he simply enforced the law. The Emperor asks what punishment unauthorized slave traders face. Noah recites the law precisely. The leader loses his dominant hand, and accomplices are conscripted into military service. The Prime Minister confirms his accuracy. The Emperor then asks if Noah was injured. Noah says he countered the attack easily. The Emperor jokes that if he himself had hesitated to reveal his identity, it might have been considered lèse-majesté. Laughter spreads through the room. Noah calmly clarifies that under imperial law, if someone acts before knowing the Emperor's identity, it is not lèse-majesté but bodily injury. The court falls silent. The Emperor bursts into laughter, revealing he had wagered with the Prime Minister on whether Noah would cite the law correctly. Impressed, the Emperor appoints Noah as Minister of Justice. The court is stunned. After Henry, Noah is the next prince to hold ministerial rank. Later, Noah attends the theater to hear his favorite singer perform, quietly wondering if this sudden promotion carries deeper implications. At the mansion, Zoe and Gigi bid farewell to Evelyn. In another location, a shadowed prince smashes a glass against the wall upon hearing the news of Noah's appointment. Elsewhere, ministers whisper instructions behind closed doors. The Emperor remarks that time is running out. They can no longer afford delay. The next morning, Noah steps out of his carriage in front of the Ministry of Justice. Officials lined up outside bow as he enters the building. A young man greets him and introduces himself as Vinny, the Deputy Minister of Justice. Noah notices how young he looks and immediately assumes he must have risen through the ranks quickly. Noah asks Vinny to explain exactly what the Ministry of Justice handles. Vinny summarizes it in two main responsibilities. First, they oversee and coordinate the courts across all regions of the Empire. Second, they directly handle major trials that take place in the imperial capital. In extreme cases, such as rebellion, judgment may be carried out personally by the ministry or even by the Emperor himself. Noah concludes that the ministry essentially functions as both a supervisory authority and a high court, Vinny confirms. Noah then asks whether Vinny personally presides over trials when necessary. Vinny says yes. Without warning, Noah asks how much he earns in bribes. The question catches Vinny off guard, and he immediately denies taking any. Noah calmly explains that he is not looking to punish anyone. He simply wants to understand the real situation and promises that anything said in this room will stay there. He asks Vinny to speak honestly. Vinny admits that he does not accept bribes, but estimates that those who do might take in several hundred clients worth per year. To prevent corruption, he intentionally pays his subordinates 10 times the value of a typical bribe so they are not tempted. He also avoids personally judging murder cases, explaining that judges in those cases often become targets of revenge. Noah increases Vinny's salary tenfold and instructs him to ensure that bribery stops completely while he serves as minister. He wants to meet the Emperor's expectations without compromise. Vinny says he now understands why Noah was named Minister of Justice and called a sage at such a young age. He returns the extra payment, saying he does not need it and that it will be an honor to work with Prince Noah. That evening, at the residence of the 8th Imperial Prince, Oscar congratulates Noah on his appointment. He points out that after 50 years of the Emperor's reign, Noah is only the 2nd Imperial Prince to be appointed minister. Oscar tells him he genuinely admires him. Noah asks why he was chosen. Oscar suggests that perhaps the Emperor simply favors him. Noah reflects that Henry had clear merit. He suppressed a rebellion, while he himself has not accomplished something as visible. He wonders if favoritism played a role. Then he brings up a piece of history. The empire once nearly collapsed because the heir was chosen at birth, leaving the other princes without purpose. They neglected responsibility and destabilized internal affairs. To prevent that from happening again, the current emperor grants fiefs to all princes and requires them to prove their ability. Oscar asks what that has to do with Noah's appointment. Noah considers that elevating multiple princes to ministerial positions might go beyond healthy competition. Oscar suddenly realizes what Noah is implying. The emperor could be testing potential successors, perhaps even reconsidering the crown prince. Noah admits he cannot be certain. At that moment, Oscar's butler brings urgent news. Someone has been caught offering bribes, and during the next morning's meeting, it appears the emperor may appoint Oscar as Minister of Finance. Noah grows more suspicious of the emperor's long-term plans. Elsewhere, Prince Albert receives similar news during a banquet. Another prince advises him not to react yet and instead focus on celebrating Noah's promotion. At the same time, Imperial Knights raid a rebel hideout. The Prime Minister reports to the Emperor that 160 conspirators have been arrested. They confess to plotting for His Majesty to abdicate so that the Crown Prince could immediately take the throne. The Emperor notes that after 50 years of rule, they can no longer afford to wait on certain matters. The Prime Minister admits there is no direct proof tying the Crown Prince to the plot. The Emperor decides that no action will be taken against Albert. The arrested rebels will be executed and the matter will end there. He then asks about Oscar. The Prime Minister explains that a trusted associate tested Oscar's reaction, and Prince Noah was present. The Emperor asks whether Noah understood the hidden intention. The Prime Minister confirms he did. The Emperor once again acknowledges Noah's insight. Privately, the Emperor reflects that Gilbert and Albert both seem unsuitable as successors. Henry, Oscar, or Noah could inherit the throne, whoever proves capable in the coming trial. Back at the Ministry of Justice, Vinny presents a detailed list of the conspirators. Noah notices that many of them are closely connected to Albert, trusted aides, supporters, even knights. From any perspective, it resembles a faction aligned with the Crown Prince. Vinny asks what their next move should be. Noah thinks through imperial law carefully. Members of the imperial family can sometimes receive lighter punishment, except in cases of treason. For treason, even princes face execution. Anyone who knew about the betrayal and failed to report it is equally guilty. It seems unlikely that Albert knew nothing, given how many of his close allies were involved. However, executing the Crown Prince would send shockwaves through the empire. Noah asks whether the Emperor gave specific instructions. Vinny says His Majesty only said that appropriate punishment should be delivered. Noah understands what that means. He decides that only the main culprits already in custody will be beheaded. The rest will receive the death penalty immediately. By limiting punishment strictly to those officially listed, the Crown Prince remains untouched. Delaying executions risks leaks or pardons that could expose deeper involvement. Immediate enforcement keeps everything within the law and prevents scandal. The Emperor praises Noah's judgment and orders crews to increase his annual salary. Noah realizes this confirms the Emperor's desire to protect Albert from implication. The Emperor tells Noah he continues to have high expectations for him. Suddenly, Shirley rushes in to report that 2 knights have been struck down at the ministry entrance. Invaders are still inside. Noah immediately orders Shirley to gather reinforcements and block anyone from entering, even if they claim to be imperial princes. Noah runs inside. He passes fallen guards and finds a subordinate being stabbed. He quickly restrains the attacker and activates his ring to prevent him from taking his own life. 3 more assailants rush forward but are swiftly defeated. When Vinny arrives, he is stunned by the scene. The attackers have eliminated all remaining conspirators before being stopped. Noah immediately understands. This was likely orchestrated by Albert to silence witnesses. Without hesitation, he cuts himself. Vinny is horrified. Noah calmly asks what the punishment is for seriously injuring an imperial prince. Vinny replies that it carries an immediate death sentence. Noah orders the execution of the attackers at once. Later, as doctors treat his wound, Vinny confirms the executions have been carried out. Noah concludes that the matter is now fully closed. One wrong step could have destabilized the empire. The next day, Noah meets the Emperor. His Majesty apologizes for summoning him while injured. Noah apologizes for recent events, but the Emperor dismisses it as not his fault. He asks whether the attackers were truly skilled enough to wound him. Noah knows the Emperor likely understands the truth. Noah replies that strength is not only about swordsmanship. Even the strongest warrior can falter when mental weakness is exposed. The Emperor smiles, saying he is grateful to have such a son. He remarks that many rulers ruin their legacy in their final years. Noah understands the unspoken reference to the Crown Prince's betrayal. Noah tells his father that history will remember him as a wise ruler who brought the empire into a golden age. But if scandal erupts now, it will record that he failed to control his own son in his final years. Then Noah makes a proposal. Henry and Oscar are ministers, but they are still inexperienced and may make mistakes. There should be someone placed above them to maintain balance. The Emperor assumes he means the Prime Minister, but Noah suggests creating a new title above the ministerial princes and giving it to the Crown Prince. The Emperor rejects the idea immediately. Noah explains that Albert has been crown prince for 35 years and has grown impatient. Let him play emperor, Noah says, while real authority remains with his majesty. The emperor objects that Albert could block matters from reaching him. Noah counters by granting each ministerial prince the right to appeal directly to the emperor if necessary. In that case, the crown prince would hold a title without real power. The emperor pauses, then smiles. He calls it the best solution yet. Noah deserves a reward. Money is not enough. He orders crews to bring them to the imperial treasury. Inside the treasure room, the emperor tells Noah he has heard about his talent for finding rare treasures and wants to see it for himself. He tells him to choose anything he desires. Noah steps forward and quietly asks Leviathan to guide him. After a moment, he approaches a particular box. The emperor watches closely. When Noah opens it, a violent tornado of fire bursts out and engulfs him. And that is where the episode ends. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.